Hello friends, how are you? Simon Gibson here. Welcome to the show. It's Success Won't Come Calling. And if you want to be better tomorrow than you were today, this is the place for you. I'm here in our fantastic studios and I'm awaiting the arrival of this week's guests. And we've got a very special one for you this time, guys. I'm looking forward to welcoming Paul Smith and Laurie Callow. Paul is a very successful comedian. As you all know, I did some stand-up back in the day. Paul and I gigged a lot together. I really always enjoyed Paul's company. I've not seen him since then. And since then, he has done a number of theatre packing tours. He's had huge success as resident compere of Hot Water Comedy, one of the biggest clubs in the northwest of England. He's a top man as well. Laurie Callow is his significant other, but she is also a successful businesswoman in her own right, very much an entrepreneur. And as a couple, they do the hilarious What's the Story, Paul and Laurie podcast. So much to talk to the guys about. It's going to be a fantastic episode of the podcast. So please do enjoy it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy my chat with Paul Smith and Laurie Callow. Back with Stacey at the end for the debrief. Paul and Laurie, welcome.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hiya. Thanks for doing this.
Didn't know we'd started then.
We're so shit at intros.
Well, we just, it's very
You've seen our
loose.
podcast, we're always like,
Hello.
hello. Welcome to...
Well, first of all, we do guest rider on the podcast and we're keeping it nice and simple with a Coke. What is it? It's a Coke no sugar, isn't it?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero, because the Diet
Coke no
Coke's,
sugar.
the Diet
no
Coke's
sugar.
got the damaging sugar in, hasn't it? That
I feel like
sweetness
they're
stuff.
both the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of it's my biggest vice, Coke Zero, I think. I go through a lot of Coke Zero.
But I've heard you on some other podcasts and you have got some other vices which we'll come to as well.
I wouldn't say they were vices. We'll get to that.
Oh, thanks both for doing this, guys, first of all.
All right.
Thank you for having us. It's a nice
Not
place.
at all.
This.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's
Enjoying
like
the studio.
Parkinson, isn't it?
What?
Seriously, it's like Parkinson.
It really
Yeah,
is.
it
I feel like we've made it.
So, Paul, me and you go back a bit then, don't we?
We do. I know. Do you know what? I got a message from your marketing team. I don't know why I did that. They weren't a marketing team. But like, hello, mate. I realised she was in the room, and I was like, I got it, and and they were like, "Oh, will you do this?" I was like, "I know Sai. Of course I'll do that." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, he didn't know whether you'd remember." I was like, "Of course I fucking." Yeah, we've done a lot of gigs together.
We really did, and we did. By the time I started doing stand up, you were already sort of headlining locally.
Yeah.
So you were a good couple of years ahead of me in terms of time.
I started. When did you start? I started end of 2005.
I wasn't until 2007.
Yeah.
So you were ahead of me in terms of time and talent, to be fair. But then you headlined my second to last gig, which was at Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And I've not spoken a word to you since that night. So it's crazy.
How badly
man.
did that gig go?
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of a funny one. Yeah, it was. But it was a nice room, that wasn't it?
Mate, it's a really nice room, that, yeah. It's a good room. Yeah, it was one of me, because me and Phil Chapman ran, because was it the Wednesday night?
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
We ran the Wednesday night there for a while, didn't we? We used to like take turns comparing it and stuff. It was such. I enjoyed that. It was a good time.
It's a nice room, though, isn't it?
It's a lovely room, yeah.
Do you still gig there now occasionally or not?
No.
Do you not?
Not allowed.
Oh, well, we'll come to this in a minute. Love a bit of feather.
Don't know whether bit of bitchy.
And Laurie, thank you for coming on as well.
Thanks.
So you two are not only a sort of a couple in terms of doing your podcast together.
Yeah.
You are a couple.
Yeah.
And you've also got
Just
your
fake, really.
Yeah.
Faking it.
That'd be a lot to keep up for a podcast, that, wouldn't it?
Oh my god, yeah.
We're gonna find a way of doing it. And you've got your own business as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
In microblading. What's that?
Yeah, microblading specialist. So it's like simulating hair strokes with pigment and a blade.
Right.
So it's a form of tattooing, but it's not as invasive. So it doesn't
It
go.
sounds shit, doesn't it?
It sound,
Like when she first told me about it, I was like, "That's." And then, but if you go on her Instagram and look at it, you go, "Oh my god, that is quite the talent."
it's clever, like.
It's very clever. And I mean, you're looking at me like I've got no eyebrows. She's tried.
I've tried, all right.
She's tried.
I've tried.
I'm not getting them. Like, I look stupid, but yeah, she's.
I've tried to get him to, but he won't. I wouldn't do it anyway. He don't
Very
need
delicate
it.
work.
You're beautiful as you are.
Well, exactly. I mean, why would you want to mess with perfection?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's big business that these days, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
The
Mad.
money women will spend on eyebrows is
It's crazy,
stupid.
cry, innit?
Particularly in this city, I would say.
You know what the dead funny thing is, right? We've been together 2 years next week, innit?
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
been together
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks we've been together. 2 years next week. And when we first got together, obviously I was doing all right. And everyone was like, "Oh, she's a gold digger." And I was thinking, she makes more money than me. You just haven't got a fucking clue the money that is in eyebrows means. Comedy is not a good game.
All right.
So, and you both met, didn't you, at Gig of Paul's?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me about that. What happened there?
She's in the front row. She's going to shout at me now. She was in. No, it's great. This is a great story, actually. Right. She was in the front row, and she's a chatty bastard, isn't she? So she was getting involved, right? Which I don't
wasn't
normally
really,
like,
though.
but she was.
We've argued about
She
this
was.
for 2
We
years.
argued about it for years, right? And she was like, "I didn't even say that." I was like, "You were talking
wasn't.
while I was on stage."
I was
Because I
not.
remember going in the green room, going, "That one with the tits in the front row is getting involved." Right?
I wasn't though. I just think, right, I said, I think that you thought I was getting involved here because you kept looking at my tits all night. So I was just there in your head, in your eyes all night.
But it wasn't that, right?
And then we found the video of when me and him first talked to
There's a
each
hot
other.
water video of
yeah,
it?
a hot water
And
video.
I get a name wrong.
And he called me Lauren throughout the whole thing, right? And then
And she gets involved.
no, he was
Unprovoked.
talking to someone in front of him, and all he kept doing, I was here, right, and all he kept doing was staring at my tits all fucking night while he's talking to
There's
someone.
no proof of that. There's no evidence of that. 'Cause you
Well,
can't
there
see
is
it.
now.
There
is.
is. There's literally evidence.
I think I was just glancing across the
No,
audience.
you wasn't. You was
just
looking down
surveying
at
the
my
crowd.
tits.
No, I wasn't.
But you know what? I
do that.
mean, it's
I'm a nice guy.
Well, you are. And do you know what? I wanted to, that's kind of where I wanted to
Concealed.
start, because we did gig quite a lot. And I mean, obviously we had a quick catch up before we started, but from my perspective, when I saw after I'd stopped doing stand up the way you've progressed, Paul, and the success you've achieved, I couldn't have been happier for you, because
Thank you.
back in those days when I was doing it, you were doing the hard yards like we all were, but you were also someone who was really supportive. I mean, I always remember when we gigged together, you always had a bit of an arm around the shoulder of me and some of the other newer acts.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I always try and do that.
well done, man. First
Thank
of
you.
all,
Gonna make me cry.
The thing about what I always say about Paul is that he's known for taking the piss out of people, right? So people, for audience members or anyone going to his shows, they always have this expectation that he's a knobhead. Do you know what I mean? Because he takes the piss out of people, and everyone's scared of him. Do you know what I mean? Or they feel quite threatened, and they're like, do you know what I mean? And he's actually the nicest man I've ever met. Do you know what I mean? The
Quite
nicest.
a quiet man as well.
Yeah, when we met outside, we bumped into each other outside the gig. Like that night we met, and I was like, all right. And then he just didn't speak a word. He just went, and I was like, blah, 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 and he was just like,
so who asked who out then?
well,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
don't- come on,
Be honest now.
I'm great. I'm
Be
going to
honest,
tell
go
the
on.
story.
Tell him the story
I'm going
then.
to tell you the story.
Please do.
Right, it's a very funny story. I'll start from the beginning.
As soon as you lie,
I'm not going to lie. I promise I'm not going to lie. Right. So I was dating a guy, right? I was dating a guy.
Sorry,
I only went on-
Simon.
I only-
His
His
name's
name's Simon. I was dating a guy and I went on one date with him. It's going really well. And he kept sending me Paul's videos. Right.
I bet he regrets that now, doesn't he?
He kept sending me Paul's videos. And I was like, yeah, I think I've seen him. I said, he's funny. And he was like, yeah, he's my favourite comedian, you know. He was a
not
Scouser
anymore.
living in Exeter. So Exeter's like the city down by me. And he sent me Paul's videos. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I got us tickets for the comedy club? Because he's never seen his favourite comedian before. So I got us tickets for that night. And then he went dead weird on me. I was like, surprised, I've got tickets paid for a hotel. So this was meant to be our second date. So I thought, I sound that, isn't it? Like, bird, sorted all that out. And he went, nah, I can't make that. And I went, well, I'll go with my mate then. And he was like, fuming. But he was just being dead weird. So I took my mate instead, and we drove up on the afternoon after work, because she works in my salon. And
I feel like this is a lot of preamble for you setting, you slid in my DMs.
no, I'm just saying how funny it is that I was there. No, I messaged him and I said, listen, because before he wasn't coming, I went, listen, are you going to be there? Because I'm bringing this bloke that I'm dating, and like, I need to know whether you're going to be there. So I'd already messaged him to ask whether he was going to be there, because I didn't know. So that's the only reason
And
I
hadn't
messaged you.
responded.
Wow.
And then,
Because he seen that he thought I had a fella, so that's why he didn't respond. He said he'd seen me in his
I've got
requests. He seen me in his requests, and because I said I had a fella, he was like, nah.
and then what happened?
And then after I met him, when I got back, I went, I had a lovely night. Thanks for a lovely night. See you in Torquay, because he was
Slid in the
touring in
DMs.
Torquay, and I'd bought tickets for it for me and this guy, preempted like. And then, so then he messaged me back the next day, followed me on Instagram.
And the rest is history,
The
as they
rest is-
So
say.
it was a bit of both, really.
Well, I think this guy he's made two basic errors there. Hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, number one,
know.
don't send something to your missus and say that's my favourite comedian.
I know.
And then secondly, don't let her go to a gig on her own.
But he wasn't
Don't let
my
her
fella.
go to a gig because she's going to get the front row. You know what the maddest thing is, right? It's the last Tuesday I ever worked, and she
Yeah.
is late for everything.
I know, I was on time, boom,
She was
at the
she
front
was
of the
so
queue.
on time that she got in the front row, which is hard to do. And if that wouldn't have happened,
Yeah, mad. We wouldn't have met.
we wouldn't have met.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm
And
glad
if
you're
he'd
here.
have gone, like, because he was meant like a director of his own company, so he was like, I can't get the day off work. I was like, well, clearly you can. He was just being weird, and I thought,
And I
Fight
walked
that.
out the back of the club. So I came out the back door, and they haven't got that back door anymore. I went out the back door, and she was walking past. We just bumped into each other.
yeah, just ran into.
So this is
it.
hot water, is it then?
It's hot
Yeah,
water
yeah.
on Harvard
Because
Street.
do you know what when I sort of lost touch with all the old comedy guys when I stopped, but your career, it seemed to I'll say run alongside. That's not what I mean, but Hot Water has emerged as this really strong comedy brand, and it seemed to me that your progress was crucial to the development of that brand.
I think it's to use a nice word, it was symbiotic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what happened was, Paul Blair, who runs, everyone thinks Paul's me because you get an email from Paul at Hot Water and everyone thinks it's me, and he's quite happy because he's one of those people, he's just happy to sit in the background and just control everything like a puppeteer. So you got Paul and Binty, who were brothers, and there's just the most talented people you've ever met, because Paul's really good at business and marketing and all that side. Binty's really hands-on, runs the club. He's just in the room. He's
like the
dead good
face
with
and he's
people,
there.
dead good with tech, builds the rooms himself. So like we've got the best room in the country. And when we got our first proper club in Seal Street, because before that we were in like the Crown Hotel.
I remember
we were
that. It was
We used to have
upstairs, wasn't it? Yeah.
We used to have a little. It was the room above a pub, and we used to have a little stage that was 2 pallets with a bit of like chipboard on top of it, and then like a back piece with a brick wall, like wallpaper pasted onto it, which we used to have to take apart and put back together at every show. It was a nightmare. I used to have to carry it across the road, across Lime Street. People nearly getting run over. Like it was like, oh, it was terrible. Like something out of a Carry On film. And when we got that club, Paul had the idea to start filming the gigs, and I was like, no one will watch that. Like I don't think it will. He was like, I think it will, you know. But at that time, they weren't recording me. So what they were doing is, we didn't have fixed cameras, so they got a couple of people, like a camera crew in, right? So the idea was, we'd film on a Monday night, and it was called Live, a Hot Water Comedy. We'd have about 6 or 7 acts on doing short spots, and we'd film them and put it on the YouTube channel. And while I was on, they were just filming the crowd for cutaways,
Right.
for laughter. Because I was like, no one's going to want to listen to me talk, like just nonsense. I'm not doing material, so it's just bollocks, because you don't really see comparing on, or like crowd work on telly or the internet or anything. And I just got lucky with one of the videos, because what happened was, I was like, you know yourself from comparing, like when there's a lot of acts on, between the acts, you need to just get the next act on because the crowd gets tired. So it goes on, act comes off, and I goes on ready to bring the next act on. But as it did, a guy in the front row stands up and goes to the toilet, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to stay here because he's going to come back halfway through this next guy's video and ruin it. And it's not going to be, because all the videos were like singular, that if you're just watching this guy's video, you're not going to understand why this fella's coming. And I knew the next guy was he was a bit of a deadpan one-liner. I can't remember who it was now, but I remember thinking that. And I was like, okay, he's not gonna deal with that very well, so I'll have to stay here. So I had one person to talk to, and I just got lucky because I picked on this guy, and he worked at Jag, and I made out he was a drug dealer because he had a Range Rover and he worked at Jag, which is the standard because you get them cheap, but like it was just funny to say. And all his mate, it just went mad. So they put that bit on, and I went away. It was weird because I went away. It was my mum's 60th when we went to Portugal. And that video went online, and it started getting shared around WhatsApp groups around Jag and stuff, and it just went mad. And I wasn't really aware of it. It wasn't until I came back and late flight back, got home, and I took the baby to Tesco because we needed milk and bread. And I got into Tesco, and I just felt these lads were like looking at me. There was like 3 scally lads, and I was like, oh, am I getting mugged in Tesco here? This is with the baby. This is bad. So I'm like walking around, I'm eyeballing them, and then I felt a couple more people looking at me. I was like, what's going on here? This is weird. Have I got something on me or something? And then a woman stopped me and went, you're that guy, aren't you? And I was like, what? She went, he's the comedian. And I went, oh yeah. And she went, can I have a picture? And I was like, yeah. And then, because she'd done it, 10 other people did it. And there was like a queue of people in Tesco, and my head fell off. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to cope with it. And I was like, I had to just go. I didn't even get milk and bread. I just like leave because the baby was just looking at me going, what's happening here? And it was so weird. And it was like, so then my stuff started going well, and that obviously brought more people into the club. But then they realized, because the club was already the best, then they realized how good the club was. So the club kind of got its own name, and it was just, as I said, it was just a symbiotic thing. It was just perfect. It was really lucky that kind of, because a lot of people had videos like Adam Staunton, Adam Rowe and stuff. They've all had videos that kind of did well. But I was the resident compere there. I did pretty much every show. So it was really lucky that my videos kind of really took off, because everyone else's videos, it would have brought them to them, whereas my videos kind of brought people to the club.
Well, I was going to say that because I think the first thing for people who aren't familiar with comedy is comparing and being an act, doing material it's 2 different crafts, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
being a good
job completely. Yeah,
being a good compere usually means you're a good comedian as well, but not vice versa in my experience. Not necessarily vice versa.
Yeah.
And the way you've described it, Paul, was your career as a stand-up, as an act, it seemed to me from afar to be growing at the same time as Hot Water was growing, where you were resident compere. So how did that work just practically? Because you started doing big tours as those years progressed as a standalone act.
Well, I used to do for like the previous 3 years, I'd done a solo show every year just as an exercise for myself, because I do turn over a lot of material. I'm quite prolific amongst acts. I am. The thing about me is I don't write jokes, so my material is kind of really natural kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm quite good at embellishing detail and stuff. So I have really long bits, so I do turn over. I must turn over about an hour and a half of new stuff a year, which is a lot for a comedian.
Absolutely, it's a new show.
There's
isn't
more
it?
than that, and that's streamlining it.
Yeah, that's streamlining it, probably. So Adam Rowe said this. He said that you do me head in because you're the only person I've ever seen. Something will happen to you, and you'll go on stage, and it'll just be a bit. Like, it'll just be a formed bit, and it'll just come out of your head. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like a bit of a fraud because I don't even know if I can take credit for it, because I listen to this coming out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, that's good, isn't it? But yeah, so like, I used to do it every year. So like, when this came about, it was weird because we'd had a kind of solo show booked in at the club, and it just flew out. Like, it was just because the year before I'd struggled to sell 94 tickets. I'd had to like push it, friends and family and everything, and that was after doing the club for so long. And this was like we had like 175 was the capacity in Seal Street, and we'd sold 2 shows like immediately. Just couldn't sell them quick enough.
And this is for your solo
this
show.
Just for me. So
what tour was that?
It was called. It was the first DVD that went online. So it was.
Right.
I don't even think the show had.
I did not know.
No, it was before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the stuff that I'd like been about like me. I had routine about being on a treadmill and stuff.
Oh, I remember the
bit
bee
about-
one.
Yeah, and the bee.
Yeah.
and stuff, and a bit about me, like George, me little lad having autism and stuff. So I was doing that anyway, and they flew out, and then so we were like, the Echo Auditorium. Paul started looking around, going, "We should do a bigger show here." So we went to the Echo Auditorium, and I remember walking in. There's a 1,300 seater, 800 or 1,300 seater in the Echo Arena, M&S Bank Arena now. And we walked in, and I was like, "This is too big. This is too big. Can't do this." And so we were like, "We'll put it on sale. We'll do it," because it was you had to front the money as well, and it was like a big expense. And we were like, "Should we do this? A bit of a gamble. It's a bit of a gamble." Did it, and it just flew out, and I was like, "Oh God!" So
amazing.
And he'd put 2 hot water shows on, one in the northeast, and I think one in Sheffield. Right, just don't know, randomly put them on to see how it went, and they flew out, and I was like, "Well, I think they're coming." He was like, "I think they're coming for you. Like, let's just put a few shows on." So we just started. He got in touch with ATG at the Empire and a lot of the theatres around the company. And put a few shows. They didn't have a clue who I was, so they were a bit like, "Are you sure about this?" We were like, "Yeah, we'll do it." So we put the money up and did it, and it just went mad. And ATG was like, "This is one of the fastest selling things I've ever seen."
Because I mean, it's incredible, this, because you've got, I mean, you're in the middle, or you're just about to recommence your Change tour, which we're going to talk about later. But this is a huge tour. You're doing
massive,
some massive rooms, and you've done this without the sort of usual grind of Edinburgh, then some TV work and that sort of thing. So you seem to have really just walked around that wall.
Yeah, which it didn't seem possible to do before me.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there's people who've done similar things in the States and like kind of gone that route, social media route. And there was also a couple like Mo Gilligan, but Mo Gilligan wasn't technically a stand-up. He is a stand-up, but he hadn't got famous for stand-up videos. He got famous for funny videos, which is still a comedian, and like he's very, very funny guy. But people were coming for me for stand-up and see, because they'd seen me do stand-up. So it was really unique in that way. And I think I don't want to. I get into this and I feel like I start slagging TV off, which I mean I've got no problem doing. But TV comedy had gotten quite stale, and the panel shows and stuff, because the selection process was. It's not people who know comedy very well. Like for want of a better like explanation, and I don't think there was a thirst. There was a massive kind of gap there, and no one had seen comparing. People they just didn't do it. So again, I felt like, I remember saying, I've said this to a few people, like my first show was called, like my first tour was called Hire Mate.
Yeah, I remember.
Because people now think saying Hire Mate, what you do is mine. Like that's just what you would say as a compere. Every compere says that, but now like people are fuming with me, because every other person who tries to compare now, they go, "I hear what you do," and everyone's like, "Oh fucking hell, doing Paul Smith," like, and they can't get away with it. And I think I hit this niche where like it was so refreshing for people to see kind of it could go wrong, because it's just me bouncing off the crowd, and like it does go wrong from time to time.
But the thing that Paul's got, which he's got a very like good, he can read people so well, and that's the key to it. It doesn't matter how funny you are, right? But if you can't read people instantly, you know.
Well, do you know what, you're right, Laurie, because
and that's something you can't teach. It's just
you can't.
You've either got it or you ain't.
And the other thing, Paul, because you did some comparing when I worked with you as well. The other thing I really liked about you comparing, and when I've seen you since, you've still kept this. You're not someone who's nasty in any way. You make people feel good about themselves.
I say that. I said to you, didn't I? I went, the thing what separates him from, say, Adam Rowe, if Adam Rowe like burns someone or whatever, is that Paul's got this way of slagging someone off, but then making them like him.
Well,
like,
you're laughing with them.
Because he says it. Because it's like, then he'll slag them off and then he'll act like their mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that positive, negative thing.
Well,
Like
the positive energy.
Yeah.
Do you know when you met Paul, Laurie?
Yeah.
How did you get filled in on all of this kind of background? Because obviously only at that point, Paul had been through quite a degree of his journey already.
Yeah.
How did you was this just you
I
chatted
didn't
about?
know. I honestly, when I went to the club, Like when Simon sent me the video, I didn't really know. Like I love comedy, so like I've always just always loved it, and so I didn't really know about Paul at all, really, apart from I'd just seen a couple of his videos. But I didn't even know he was going to be there. So the thing is, like, I didn't know much about him anyway. So, and then obviously we spoke for about 3 weeks before we actually went on the date, didn't we? So we spoke every day.
Wow.
Like constantly every day before we went on the date. And then on our first date, it was a whirlwind because like I got there and he's like, I was meant to not work, but we've got to go to work. So I had to go to the comedy club. I had my like this posh dress on. I had to go to the comedy club, sit in the green room, right? Danny McLaughlin was the first sort of like one of your mates that I'd met.
Oh, he's a good guy.
Chris McCausland.
And he just left me in the green room.
Yeah.
And I can be put anywhere, me. I'm sound. And then he come back and I was chatting away to him. Then we went for a steak, and then we had to go back to the comedy club while he closed the show. Then he was like, I've got to go to my mate's wedding. And I was like, okay. So then we went to the wedding and I met Paul Blair, his wife.
It's Lewis Calvert's wedding. Did you ever meet Lewis Calvert?
Oh, yeah, I remember Lewis, yeah.
So met everyone there. Then he was.
It sounds quite a first date, to be fair.
Then we went to 54, didn't we? Yeah. Or was it 54? What was it? 54?
No. Yeah, we went to 54, and then we went to Fredericks.
And Fredericks.
Oh, yeah.
And then stayed it is next day. Going to Glasgow tonight on a tour show. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, right then. So Callum Oakley's turned up, his support act. And he's going, Loz, this is Callum. Callum, this is Loz. Callum just looked at Paul as if so, what the fuck are you doing? Bringing some psycho bird on our tour.
And then we got stuck in Glasgow because my tyre burst. So we ended up staying in Glasgow. So the first date was like 3 days long.
Yeah, it was.
It was great.
It was great. It was good. It was good.
Sing songs in the car.
I thought, God, if I was, it's a good job that I was all right, like, because.
Yeah. That's when I knew, though, like, I knew she was sound and stuff, but like, if you can take your missus to a club, and I had to go on stage and do my show, and when I came back and she was just having a laugh with everyone in the green room, I was like, she's sound. Do
you know what? It's interesting that, because I remember someone said something to me once that you've met someone who you can be with when you've kind of not got to worry about them.
Yeah, that's what we say.
When you're sort of comfortable in each other's space,
Yeah.
You're comfortable in each other's friends' space, you're comfortable with each other's work and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there is something quite universal there in terms of when you become a couple.
Yeah. The maddest, as I split up with my ex, like I've been with her for 9 years, and I'd split up with her, and it was like a good few months before we met, or 5 months before we met. And I just resigned myself to not lying, like because in my last relationship, we got on very well, but like I was hiding parts of myself, and I thought I'm not gonna lie anymore. And that's when I met her, I was like, and she just accepted everything about me. And the maddest thing is,
and you did about me so that's
I've never really, like, I don't listen to anyone about my stand-up. I just don't, like, because I just don't. Even like I'm mates with some of the best comedians in the world, probably, and even like some people will give you the kicker or like a line or say maybe do this, and it just doesn't sit with me because it's not the way I would speak. But we've got such a similar sense of humor that she just, one night she was after the show, she was just like, you should do that way, and I was like, I should do that way, and it done me. I think because I was like, why haven't I seen that? And I was like, and now she just like deconstructs my show after each time, and I've never listened to anyone before, and this show's the best one I've ever done, and I'm pretty sure it's because of like she's just like twisted it round.
You should get your own back and start doing people's eyebrows.
I would try, but I've got the shakiest hands ever. People's eyebrows would be up to
there'd be
them.
wobbly brows then.
Yeah, I've said that before. I said you'd be a professional stand-up before I ever got one eyebrow on a head.
You know, when you were going through the journey, Paul, of kind of moving upwards in the ladder, so to speak, was there a single gig where you thought, wow, I've like moved up to the next rung now?
Doing that first, when doing the arena was mad. The first time I did it, what's more mad about, it's not doing the gig that's mad, it's being backstage and looking at the people and going, this is insane that there's like 9,000 people here. Like there's like, it's just, how has this happened from like a room above a pub in such a short space of time? I think doing the first big room, the auditorium room, when I walked out and I felt that cheer, and I was like, it nearly made me cry because I was like, I had to like have a little minute because I was like, fuck Jesus. And it was a good emotion, but like it was so overwhelming because you've got this energy connection. You've been on stage.
Yeah.
You've got this energy connection with an audience. And like, so you can feel like you don't see them. Like the lights are bright, you can't see them, but you can feel them. You feel when they're tense. You feel when they're coming with you. You feel when you got control. You feel when you're slightly out of control as well. You feel like when they're distracted. It's just one of those things. So when I felt like that positivity, because not only there was a lot of people, they were all really happy to see me because they were aware of who it was, which is you don't really get as a stand-up until you got kind of people know you. You got a little bit of fame behind you because
my head fell off when someone asked me for a selfie. I don't know about that. I was like, yes, thank you. I said thank you to him.
You love a selfie, don't you?
Yeah.
You must get asked for a lot of selfies now.
Well, I got asked for one in.
I had to take one.
No, usually, right? It's like if I'm with Paul, people will associate. They'll go, "Oh yeah, it's Laurie from the podcast." It's not rare that people recognise me on my own, but lately, a couple have.
Wow.
Yeah, like I was in Liverpool the other day at the Apple shop, and some bloke went, "Oh, you're Laurie from the podcast."
How does it feel like? Because obviously we walked into the studios together and you were both mobbed by some web designers or something. Nice fellas, to be fair.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
I quite like it, mate.
Do you?
Like,
You're not very good with negative stuff though, are you, for social media? But
but you don't get much of that, and especially in person. If like people are a lot braver online, like in person.
Yeah.
If someone hates you, they're not going to come over. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I think in the beginning, I know Paul used to get the odd thing here and there, and then when we first got together before the podcast, really, the odd thing here and there. But lately, I've not really got much lately. I don't think, and I think I'm a bit more resilient, but maybe I haven't been exposed to it as much as he has. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
She goes horrible on people.
No, not horrible. Nah, I'm not horrible. I use humour with sarcasm.
I don't even know if I should say that. Some kid had a go and said something to her about it. It was a dig about how she looks or something, right? I can't remember what he said.
He said that I look like this particular person from a video on YouTube. She was rough as fuck.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Right.
I would just normally go, all right, you're a knobhead, block. But she goes on this kid's profile, sees that his nan's dead. Just as a go.
And then I said, something about asking Nan or something. And then he was like, okay.
He said okay though. And I was like, oh no.
Hey, if you're going to be a big man, you've got to be prepared someone to have a go at your nan. Oh, that's awesome.
She's got more of a fighting spirit than I am.
Well, I'm sure you can look after yourself.
Most of it's like, when people come to you in the street, I just think it's dead nice that like, some people are a little bit dismissive of it. And there's always a moment where you kind of like, I remember the first time someone got a bit pissed off at me. I come out of the club one night and I had a flight to catch. I can't even remember where I was going now. I think I was going to Spain. So I was waiting for an Uber, and I was just one eye on the road waiting for this Uber on Seal Street, and this girl went, "Oh, can I have a picture?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, hang on a sec," because I thought my car was coming. And she went, "Oh, if you haven't got time," and just stormed off. And I was thinking, that's going to be her story for fucking years. But most of the time, it's like people are just happy to see you, and it's dead nice that like people. Yeah. It's not much for you to give. Like if I'll stand there for hours after the show and get pictures with people, because it's just nice that they. In their head, you're their mate, because they spend so much time sitting there watching you.
Yeah.
That it's just, and that's what you try and create. So for them to be friendly with you and want a picture and stuff like that, it's lovely. I just think it's dead nice.
It's mad, because when our podcast sort of like went mad, he was like, "Oh, it's so weird," because I'm like all of a sudden watching you get this like exposure, because it was just like, I was like, I don't know if I can deal with all these messages and that. It was weird, like just so much like at one time.
Well, do you know what?
I was answering everyone. I was like, thank you.
Well, there must come a point where you just can't, though. Where you just
can't.
Because you spend all day doing it.
Yeah, it's like
I've had to.
full-time
My
job.
Facebook page is just a sea.
Yeah.
I can't even look at it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Because since I've started doing these, I've had so flattered by the people who've agreed to come on. We had Bianca Walkden on, who's a triple world champion Taekwondo fighter. And when she shared the podcast on her Instagram, I looked at some of the comments and you just thought, how would you cope with all these pervy men? So, I mean, do you either of you get any of that?
She gets a lot of people asking to give her
Wants
money.
to give me money. Honestly, it's an ongoing joke now.
And the first time it happened, some guy was like, "Oh, can I pay you to just what was it? Just what?
Can I be your can I be your pay pig?
And I was
went,
like,
what's
take
a
that
pay
man's
pig?
money now.
I was like, what the fuck's a pay pig? And then my mate was like, why the fuck don't I get bloody give him money? And I was like, well, I said, it's just weird. It's like
What
I get
is a
him
pay
every
pig?
day.
It's a guy who just wants to give you. He wants
Give
to
you
be
money
financially
and you talk
submissive
to him like
you.
shit.
So I went to
That's
get
what
a
it
grand
is.
off him, and so she
I know.
sent him a message saying it, right, you little slut.
He went, go on, message him, and I was
I
like,
want £1,000 in my bank
No,
by tomorrow,
you
and
fucking
just
little
giving him loads. And then he
dickhead.
just put back. And when I seen that, I was
I
like,
sent it
I don't
to-
like it. I don't like it. I thought I was okay with this, but I'm not. No, stop it.
I was like,
stop
well,
it.
that'll
He's
teach
enjoyed
ya.
that too much.
I mean, if he wants to give a woman money and they get treated like shit, he should just get married.
Yeah, I think he probably are.
but you know what? I realised that if the eyebrows fail, I've got a backup plan.
Professional, just seek out loads of pay pigs.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to have a quick break. It's been absolutely awesome, part one. If anyone's watching or listening who's not going to come back from part two, what's the matter with you? We're back with Paul Smith and Laurie Callow in part two. See you the other side. It's half time, friends. This week's recommendation is for everyone who's been direct messaging me asking who made Paul and Laurie's t-shirts. So the recommendation is for Social Grenade, who I've been bombarding with orders since the podcast. So Social Grenade are a t-shirt manufacturer who will either provide you with one of their fantastic designs that they've got in stock, or they will prepare designs based upon what you want. They're very efficient, they're reasonably priced, and I think they're a fantastic business. So that's this week's recommendation. Reminder, Social Grenade are not paying me to make this recommendation. I'm just doing it because I like them, and I like you as well. And now it's back to the podcast with Paul and Laurie. And we're back with Paul Smith and Laurie Callow. Thanks
Hello.
again for doing this, guys.
Thank you for
Good.
having
It's
us.
fun.
Now, I just wanted to talk a bit about your business, if that's okay, Laurie,
Yeah.
because we touched on it before. But tell me, who are your client base and where are they? Is it something that's national?
I mean, obviously, I started my business when I was pregnant, and I'd seen microblading. I'd seen someone in Birmingham that did it, and I thought, oh, I've kept it in my brain. And then I moved down south, and I was pregnant. So I thought to myself, like, when I'm on maternity, because I used to work for Devon and Cornwall Housing Association as a planner, ironically, because I am not a good organiser. And I just thought, I just want it, because I'm quite a creative person. So I always need a creative outlet. So if doing boring sort of office jobs and stuff like that never really sat well with me. And I just ended up thinking, I'll do this course while I'm pregnant. And I did. And when I went on maternity leave, it just flew, and I was the first person in the Southwest to do what I do, and it just went crazy. And people didn't know what it was, so it's mad because it's come such a long way. This was like over 5 years ago now, and people didn't know what it was, and so I was just getting that influx of clients because it's something that you're just not just naturally good at. It takes so much time and perseverance and practice, and because I'm cutting faces basically, so it's quite a skill.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's very arty, so, and that kind of filled my creative sort of gap that I had, and it just went so well. I just went from earning 20 grand a year to tripling it. Do you know what I mean?
Fantastic.
And it was crazy. It was just mad, and nobody quite believed like how mad it went. And I'd never had money before. Like I've had a good upbringing, but never like I've got two teenagers who are 16 and 15. So I had my first two when I was 19. I didn't have a pot to piss in, like absolutely. I always worked, but I never had nothing, And so to go from like, that to then earning, starting my own business. And it went from me earning money, just thinking on a Saturday, to then it just taking over, and I never went back to my job. And I opened a shop in 2 weeks of giving birth for my own shop. So I've got another shop now. So I had that for 3.5 years, and
so you both, you see, whilst you've both got your own areas that obviously being a comedian and doing what you do, Laurie, is very different. But to me, you're both entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because Paul, you talked earlier about how you managed to get several rungs up the ladder without having to pursue the relentless Edinburgh early tea work and that sort of thing. And Laurie, you've talked there about how during what for anyone would be a really challenging time, you really kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you think that sort of mutual sort of drive and commitment is one of the reasons why you operate so well as a couple?
Yeah.
I think we're both proud of each other as well, and we're both kind of supportive.
Support each other.
Both respect what each other do. Like
there's never a
threat,
because I think personally I've found if like one person's doing better than the other or something like that. Like there's some people, depends on the type of person that I've been with or whatever, but there always seems to be like a little bit of they find it a threat. Someone else's success a threat, and that's not the case with me and Paul. Like we try and support each other as much as we can.
And it's so interesting what you've said there about success being seen as a threat, because obviously the podcast is all about succeeding through struggle. We don't just talk about the success, we talk about the challenges that are faced along the way. But I don't think that a lot of people are comfortable around success.
Yeah.
It was interesting what you said before, Paul, because I imagine that you've left quite a lot of comedians in your wake, really, just in terms of, you've got ahead of the game, you've got ahead of where they are. Do you ever get faced with any sort of politics or resentment or anything like that?
Not outwardly, not that I've seen. I mean, I imagine there's probably is some, because that's just natural that exists. But I think, like, what the beautiful thing that's happened around kind of the comedy scene in Liverpool especially is that we've all kind of just pull each other up. Like we've got me, you've got Adam Rowe, Danny Mack, you've got all the people who do the club. Kind of, it's hard to notice sometimes that we all, because we're faced with such strong kind of competition within the club, you have to then get better. So like, and I think we all understand that, and we're all kind of supportive of each other again. So like, when Adam's doing something, I'll share it. When I do something, Adam shares it. And we all kind of pull each other up. And it's like, Adam said it best, it's like a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, it does. I think if you just went around thinking that you was the best one, like you'd never progress.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You just stay stagnant.
Yeah.
And it's like with anything, like even with it, you can sort of mirror the same sort of like thing with what I do.
Absolutely.
I trained with a different academy when I started, who was shit. Like they taught you, they literally went, there's a face, cut it. Do you know what I mean? And just left me to it. And I earned money from in that time, but then I kept watching the Fee Academy and I was looking at their work and they were just so much more, so much better, And so I wanted to be better. So I thought, I'm not going to sit around thinking, I'm flying here, like I want to be better. And being around people that, you're all in your own lane, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? And you're all good at doing your own individual little ways. You've got your own ways of doing things, and that's the way it should be. Like
I think it's important to realise that just because someone else is successful doesn't take it's not a it's not a race that there's one winner of. It's
Correct.
just everyone can be successful.
Yeah.
It's just there's enough, especially in comedy. Everyone wants to laugh all of the time. So just because you like me doesn't mean you can't like Adam or you can't. You'll go and see both shows. You know what I mean? Like I love lots of comedians. people, it's one of the common questions you get, who's your favourite comic?
Yeah.
You just can't pick one because it's like asking what your favourite song is. It
Well,
depends.
that's right. It's not a problem. It's not like saying what's your favourite car, is it?
Yeah,
I mean, there are different things you like about different acts.
Definitely. So,
but I think what I do totally agree with you, Laurie, that the point Paul was making is definitely cross transferable because I think when you're comfortable with your own success or even with the journey you're on towards success, it's when you can feel happy for other people and when you can share in their knowledge and in their journey.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something I love. We got a fantastic team in our business. And I love the fact that there are people there who are better than me at different things. And it's quite enriching that. And to have the humility that you guys got in terms of, enjoying that is just lovely to hear.
Be around people, you've got to be around people who are better than you.
Yeah.
You've got to be. If you're not around people who are better than you, then you're not going to do well.
No.
You're going to stagnate. You're going to get, it's hubris, isn't it? You're just going to stagnate and just become stale, and you're just going to rest on your laurels, and it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, you're not resting on your laurels because you've got an 80-day tour ahead of you.
Yeah.
Just tell me, I mean, the tour's called Changed.
Yeah.
And tell us
Ironic,
what tell us what it's all about then. What's the show about?
Well, what happens with these tours is you do a tour and then they go, that went well, do you want to do another one? And you go, yeah. And they go, right, we've got to market it. So pick a name and tell us what it's about. And you go, I haven't got a fucking clue, mate. I haven't even thought about it. I've just done the last one. So I just picked an ambiguous title. What it was supposed to be about was, at the time, and it's kind of, I start the show like this, is that it was the first time I'd ever had any money in my life, and it kind of gone a bit mad with it. Like, I bought like a fucking ridiculous car and fucking Rolexes and shit.
He nearly brought a polar bear coat. Not a real polar bear, but he looked like a polar bear.
We went to Rome on our first trip, and I went
bad,
full
I went,
Pretty
put
Woman.
it down now.
It was ridiculous. Fucking 3 hours in Hugo Boss, like, yes.
Walking up and down like Pretty Woman. I was like, oh my God. I was like, can we go now?
It was like Snoop Dogg or something.
So I bought a load of designer clothes, and that's kind of what it was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was meant to start last May. And it's been such a weird 2 years that I've completely... who I am has changed since then. And it's like, now it's not about that. But it starts about that. So the show Changed is about how the show's changed, which is weird. It's a kind of meta.
It is. Tell me how that felt, though, because, I mean, for everyone, the last 18 months have been challenging. But for yourself, Paul, you were on the verge of embarking upon your biggest tour, which had professional elements to it. It will have had financial implications. It's what you do it's how you spend your time. How did it feel when, for reasons completely out of your control, the lads just got pulled up on you?
It was surreal, and I'll be honest with you, kind of like, don't want to get too deep, but like I lost myself a little bit. There was a time there. I was lucky I had Laurie, and I discovered. I mean, we want to talk about this, but I discovered psychedelics.
We can definitely talk about psychedelics, my friend.
But I think it just weirdly, my paths had crossed with some kind of inspirational people like Kev Deves and Martin Bone and Mark Scano and people like that. And I think I was kind of internally realising that, like, I'd got what I thought was going to make me happy. I'd got a lot of money. And I was buying ridiculous stuff, chasing kind of that, oh, I've just got a new thing. Oh, I've just got a new thing. And it wasn't really making me happy. What was making me happy was the real joy in life was just sitting with her and talking. And it just didn't need all that fancy stuff. And like I thought, and I was kind of coming to this realization. And so I was speaking to people like Scano and stuff like that. And I started doing yoga and a bit of meditation. Because
is that what all those guys do, is it? They're involved in meditation and yoga.
Scano is such, you should get Mark Scano on. Honestly, he's like, if he was a king, you would follow him into battle. He's the most in Martin Bone. They've all got this energy about them. It's like he's so comfortable in his own skin. He's an ex-UFC fighter. Weirdly, right? Me and him used to live next door to each other when we were younger, and didn't know each other really. Like, I knew who he was, but he was a hard kid. Like, he was a hard case, a bit of a bad guy. Not a bad person, but like, he's a naughty man. So, and then he became a UFC fighter, quite a successful one. And then he kind of just, he got into like Wim Hof, and he
Wim Hof's the ice
Wim Hof's the ice man, all the breath work. And so we set up a place called Awake, and it's like, it's such an interesting place. Like, he's got this community now where you've got, most yoga places, all yoga places are great and stuff, but it tends to be filled with like, there's a lot of like kind of new age women in there, do you know what I mean? For want of a better. But this place, it's kind of a mixture of that and like young scallies, like after, like people you would walk past and go, he sells drugs. Defo. And it's just, they're all in there doing like breath work and yoga and kundalini and crying and hugging each other. And it's like, and they just teach you it's okay to be like fine and like vulnerable and teach you these ways of kind of coping with yourself. And it's like, he has this method like getting up in the morning, having some time, affirmations, and I've always thought all that was bollocks. I've always thought it was bollocks, but like I started
when you with all the lockdown and stuff, like you was kind of living this little ego bubble. Do you know what I mean? The Paul Smith ego bubble. Like, not that he was egotistical or anything, but and then when all your ego gets stripped away and what you're known for, and no one cares about banter or comedy, and all that. But then you're left with who you are.
What I think had caused it is, I think because what happened to me happened so fast. And I'm quite a humble guy, me. So absolutely. Like
you are.
The way I dealt with it at first was, it's all gonna go away. I'll enjoy it while it lasts. I'm not that good. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of dealing with it that way. I had a bit of imposter syndrome, and then I kind of, as it was progressing, I had to then create this kind of. It wasn't even a real ego. It was kind of, I think all this stuff and designer stuff and showy off kind of stuff was just kind of me trying to go, all right, I do deserve to be here, but it was all false. And then, as you said, when I got took away and stripped back, I haven't, I much would have prepared to have been working for the last 15 months, but I think it was good for me in that way because it allowed me some time to just stop and just kind of really look at myself and I did DMT, and one thing DMT is good for is just destroying your ego, just ego death.
So what is it? Is it like an is it an LSD type thing?
No. Is it not? It's really hard to explain in terms to anyone who hasn't done it, but I'll try my best. It's the stuff your brain makes when you die.
Right.
Before
your pineal gland, when you're about to die, some people say, I saw a light or I had a near-death experience. It's DMT. That's what it is. So, and people synthesize it, and you smoke it, and you have a really intense psychedelic trip for about 5 minutes, and then you come back completely
You're not
sober.
in the room.
You are in the room, but you're not.
It's
a separation of your consciousness from your body. So you go to this place, you see colours, and you feel like you've been there before. It's such a weird experience because, like, I'll explain this to you, and you will try, in your head now, you're trying to understand what I mean, but you don't understand what I mean. And you can't understand what I mean until you do it. And as soon as you do it, you'll understand what I mean. And you'll realise you didn't understand what I mean. If that makes any sense. Because you see these things and shapes and colours, and there's these kind of, you have a real sense of entities being there.
When you see them, are your lids closed at this point?
If you close your eyes, you go to this place. This is what I'm saying about it being, you are aware of your body still. You're aware you're breathing. Everything becomes really heightened. It takes all the gating away. So like we have sensory gates on us now. So like a lot's happening in this room. There's like a little fan going off on the computer or whatever. You kind of just zone all that stuff out. It takes all that away. So it's just everything floods in. But it overlays everything. So like stuff will start moving and stuff like that, and it really just overlays on the world. But if you close your eyes, you just transport your consciousness, just goes somewhere else. And you have this really intense visual trip. And everyone
talks about it on the new tour.
Yeah, everyone sees kind of different stuff.
Got a story about it the first time.
There's a lot of shared experience, and people see a lot of the same things, and there's a lot of entities. And you do have a sense that you've been there before. What it did for me, I've never been a spiritual person. I've never been religious. But as soon, literally the moment I went to this place, I felt like I'd been there before, and that's where I was going back to. I felt like it was the afterlife, but not the afterlife. It was just kind of a shared energy. And I came back, and that's what made me understand, like, what we were talking about earlier about energy. I understood better the energy transference between me and other people when I'm on stage. That it was kind of a really, really intense version of that. I felt like that, but connected to everything. And I was like, it was just so incredible. And I came back and I was just a different person immediately.
Because I think Paul was before he'd done DMT, because I've always been very open-minded in that terms with things like, and like, I don't need to smoke a spliff to talk about aliens. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could talk about deep shit without smoking anything. But you seem quite closed-minded with anything like that. So his experience of it was like, you know, enlightening, I think. But when I did it once, and someone like Mother Earth asked me what I was doing there. She said, "What you doing here?" Yeah, I went through a maze, seeing all colours. She was guiding me, and I got to the end, and she went, "Ha ha ha, you shouldn't be here." And she told me to go.
And you know when you do go, when you kind of come back in the room, as it were.
Yeah.
How do you feel then? You're not
incredible.
Right, so you're not like hungover or anything like that.
Absolutely. You feel incredible for days. It cleans you. It's like you feel colours are slightly more vivid, and you just feel like really like just it's just a beautiful feeling.
And there's not any sort of there's no addiction to it.
No,
it's just,
no.
Literally.
So why is that illegal?
I don't even know how it's illegal.
I don't
Your
know.
brain makes it so.
It's-
If
yeah,
it's
it's a
illegal,
natural
then you've literally got a
occurring
class A
substance.
drug in your head at all times. But
Yeah.
I don't understand that
It's
either. And
free.
mushrooms and stuff, I don't know how. Because you can pick mushrooms off the ground, but then
That's like the ayahuasca's like the
ayahuasca is DMT.
but it's
because
lasts longer,
because
doesn't
your
it?
body makes DMT and your liver breaks it down. So ayahuasca is a mixture of DMT and another plant which stops the enzymes in your stomach breaking it down. So you get it in a different way. You can
For
ingest
longer.
it, and then that lasts about 6 hours. Apparently, you come up. It's a less intense, but obviously you can take your time in the space then and move around. And really, with DMT, it's like a roller coaster. You kind of just shoot through it, and you come out the other side.
So do you think this could be something which help people or with sort of anxiety and
It destroys anxiety. I've always avoided psychedelics because I wouldn't say suffer from, but my brain has a tendency to be intrusive. So I always thought I'd have mushrooms or say, and I'd go, I'm gonna have a bad one here. I'm gonna have a bad one. What if you have a bad trip? And then I'd have a bad trip because I thought I'm gonna have a bad trip.
Of course.
But literally happened to me the third time I did DMT. I had it, and I was hungover, and I shouldn't have really. I was kind of questioning whether I should do it, but I took a mate along to try it, and I was like, oh. And the guy who did it with the shaman, he did this guided meditation, got rid of the anxiety, and I felt good. So I was like, okay, I'll go. But as soon as I had the hit, like once you've had it, you're not like there's no stopping it. So I had it, and as soon as I had it, I was like, what if that anxiety comes back? And as soon as it did, it just hit me on the chest, and I was like, oh no. And it filled my whole body. I've never felt anything like it. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And then it left my body and it was like an earthquake. The whole room was rattling with anxiety. And I was like, Jesus, this is going to be terrible. Then, giant blue woman just picked me up. It's not finished yet, but she's getting tattooed on me now. She put me in a womb and just sat there with me. And it's just, I'm looking, I was in this woman, it was like the mother, I know that sounds, I can hear myself talking. But
Birth me.
all the anxiety just left my body, and I felt like I was in heaven. And then I was trying to think of something profound to ask, because I knew it was the mother. And I was like, I remember looking at her and thinking, because I was in a womb, but I could still see it's like, because your energy, do you know what I mean? I was looking at her and she's looking down at me, she's smiling. And I was like, am I doing okay? And she just laughed and was like, why do you care? It doesn't matter. And I was like, and I laughed and she laughed, and I was like, yeah, I know what you mean, but like, is there anything else I should be doing? And she just went, stop worrying so much. And then she just gave birth to me, and I just came back into my body. And I never felt,
And we both,
never had any anxiety since.
We both felt a woman's presence on that. So the first time I did it, I felt, and we both seen elephants as well. One of
Well,
yours.
do you know what I was going to say? That shared experience. Whatever this is, why is it that as a society we think of nothing of banging people on antidepressants at the drop of a hat?
Yeah.
But
or
there's
selling
not
alcohol and cigarettes.
exactly.
And that sound,
But
you know.
there isn't even a conversation to be had because you think that's not drugs like heroin is
No, I
drugs.
know, yeah.
So to put that tag on everything is just unhelpful, isn't it?
I've-
It's uncivilized.
I've heard tales of it curing alcoholism. People who like years and years of alcoholism, DMT once, never drank again. It just changes you fundamentally. I think all psychedelics. I had quite a profound experience. I had a really profound experience doing Kundalini yoga breathwork, because it's a lot harder to get there, but you can get the same experience from breathwork and meditation. DMT is a shortcut because as your brain makes it, you can get your brain to kind of pump it out. And the Kundalini breathwork.
What's that? What's Kundalini?
It's a form of yoga, and I didn't really know what I was getting into when I went to do it.
Sounds like something on Pornhub,
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. Yeah, it does. And I thought it was going to be kind of like Wim Hof, where like you breathe and it just kind of makes you get a bit of a high doing Wim Hof, and it's nice. You feel good after it. But with this, it was like really intense, quick, rapid breathing. And I remember the woman saying, like, your hands might kind of seize up a little bit. It's just energy. And she said, if any noises want to come out, just let it all go. And I was in this room, I was in a wake, and like people started like groaning and stuff. And I remember thinking, this is a bit mad. Like, don't know if this is for me. They're still holding on to that kind of ego a little bit. And then I thought, just let go. And I did. And these noises started coming out of me. And then I just started weeping. I was uncontrollably weeping. But like, I was having such intense visuals at the same time. Not the same as DMT, but like colours and energy. And I could just feel everyone. And it was just, and it was, when I say weeping, it wasn't
it's
sad.
when you rang me up and you was like, I've just sobbed my eyes out.
It was so intense, and I came out. I was like,
but if that's in you and you're letting it
I
out,
felt cleansed.
That's a real positive, isn't it? It's a
definitely.
massive
It was just,
positive.
and I didn't know it was there. It came out of nowhere. It just sneaked, and it just all come out. And I think there's loads of there's lots to be said for kind of that. Psychedelics can help you get there, I think. Mushrooms and stuff. And
it's being comfortable with your own vulnerability, isn't it?
Exactly. I think that's the key to psychedelics. When people say,
I think so.
Because you struggle with it a little bit.
I struggle, like, because from my experience, I've got like something in me that's like a fight. Like, so I'm not there's not many times when you have to be looked after. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some kind of natural thing in me that even if I'm pissed or whatever, that my body will just fight it in a situation that's like that where it's needed. So I had mushrooms for the first time, then oh my God, like my body was just literally rejecting it, and I was like being sick, and I was like, oh God, I was seeing shadows walking past me and all sorts. It was horrible. And so he just didn't agree with me. So as much as like, I understand what Paul's saying about outside, but for somebody like me, I don't think it was, because something in me can't open or let myself be vulnerable. I'm quite sort of like too headstrong in the sense.
Well, I can just go.
Where he's got like a little vulnerability in him where he can go, oh, take me. You know?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if this is something which can help, it's not necessarily going to help everyone. And it doesn't need to.
No.
But it's so interesting that, when we're not having a conversation in life or in society about something as important with this, which has the potential to help and the potential to help people move forward. I mean, in terms of moving forward, I've got to come to the podcast in a minute as well, but just to do the tour, because we're going to put the tour, you'll be able to buy tickets on our socials. We're going to get that, and you need to get moving, people, because these tickets are going to sell out.
There's not many left.
Well, exactly. I mean, I've seen some are sold out, because I mean, what's the crack with it? I'm trying to remember the town. Is it in the northeast? Or is it? It's not
Billingham.
Billingham.
Mate.
I mean,
sells out.
You're back to back. How many people live there?
It's just outside Middlesbrough. For some weird reason, Middlesbrough Town Hall will not let me play a gig there. Don't understand why it is, but they won't let me do it. So there's a little theatre called Billingham Forum. It's a lovely little place, like 400 or 500 seater. Beautiful little theatre in this quite a rough town. It's a very small place. And for some reason, I sell about 5,000 tickets there. It must be everybody in Billingham comes. And I love it. I love the place so much.
You've got about 6 dates there, haven't you?
It's proper rough. I go to the boxing club there, and it's just like people come in and try and give you dogs and
give you dogs.
Stuff. It's such an amazing place, and like just so like proper good people, like rough, friendly people, like council estates, just lovely, just genuine people, and it's just I don't know, something about the northeast, Newcastle as well, Sunderland. They just love it there. They just love it. I just do. probably where I sell more tickets there than I do in Liverpool.
And how do you know when you're at the start of such a? Is it quite grueling when you're doing all these different dates and all this travelling, or is it something you cope with quite well?
No, I'm all right with it. I think I used to hate travelling around when I was doing like the circuit.
Yeah.
But now I feel like, I don't know, it's nice doing the shows. It can be, when you're doing a lot of driving, that can get a bit much, but
Yeah.
I think some of the dates are a little bit because of obviously they've been rescheduled. You've got one day's up there, next day's down there.
The first three shows are Leeds, Redditch.
So the only dates that you can reschedule in, you know.
So we've had to like kind of dot together. Luckily, we got our Folkestone moved again. Sorry about Folkestone. If you had the tickets, I apologise for moving the show, but it was Newcastle, then Folkestone, then back to Leeds. And I was like, oh no.
That's not doable, that, is it?
It would have had to be. But like, I've got a little camper van, so.
Oh, have you?
Get halfway in the night, have a little
We started doing
little tour bus.
we started doing little recordings now,
We've started the behind the scenes kind of tour vlog.
And is it for the podcast?
Yeah, well, we put it on our YouTube. We've got the episode 2 coming out today, haven't we? You're gonna...
Well, it won't be today.
We've got a cameraman, Rudy, who we met in Chester, didn't we? At one of the gigs once, and he sort of follows Paul round now on the gigs, but it's really funny, isn't it? Like,
it's been good so far.
Got a little GoPro, and he just got me dancing, going, doing his head in.
Well, you know, in terms of the work you do together, then the podcast is called "What's the Story, Paul and Laurie?"
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. But I mean, you know, when you're working together.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it sounds a bit far-fetched to call it work.
Yeah.
But the way you riff off each other, what the podcasts I've heard, it's just so natural.
Yeah.
And is that how it feels to you guys?
Definitely.
Oh, God,
I remember, because it came about because I was doing the Paul Smith podcast.
That's right, yeah.
I was enjoying that, but it felt like effort. Like sometimes, like this now, this is quite a natural chat.
Absolutely.
We know each other though,
Yeah.
and it's kind of really like, some people you just sit comfortably with,
Yeah.
but then you must know yourself.
You never know
obviously,
who
don't
you're
name
gonna
any
get.
names, but you get some guests in and you're like, I feel like I'm smashing my head against the brick wall trying to get anything out of you here. So like, when lockdown happened, all my guests dropped out. And I was like, we've been joking about getting you on one, hadn't you? Because she'd come down to a couple and sat in the background. As I said, she's got to get involved. So like, she's just been shouting out from the background. I was like, do you want to fucking do the podcast?
It was funny though.
It was funny. So I thought we'll just do it. So we set up in the kitchen and we started doing this podcast. And immediately, because I was thinking, in my head, I was like, I hope she's all right, because not that I was worried about me, but I thought if she's not comfortable with this, I feel like I'll put it on her and it's not going to be. But as soon as the camera turned on, she was just like, hello. And she just took over. And I was like, oh, she's fine. Okay. And so we did this podcast.
And you just went, oh my God, that was amazing. When you
and I was like so happy with it. And then I realised I hadn't pressed record.
I was like,
you're going to fucking kill me. And she was like, fuck off, you're lying. I was like, I wish I was lying. I hadn't pressed it. So we had to do it again.
But not that day.
Yeah.
We thought it's not going to come across natural, so...
No, so we
done it the next day.
Recorded the first episode again the next day. But I knew that as soon as I'd seen it, I was like, it's going to be good, this. And it just felt natural. And I just didn't have to do any real prep work for it. And we always have fun. Literally, since I met her, there hasn't been a day where she hasn't made me laugh. And people go, oh, she's funnier than you. Like, it's going to piss me off. And I'm like, I know. Like, she's the funniest person I've ever met in my life. And she catches me all the time.
Oh, well, I mean, that comes across. And I mean, we can't talk about the future without talking about the fact you two guys are getting married. Yeah. So tell us about that. When's that happening? And when's it happening? Where's it happening?
Well, we're getting married in North Devon, aren't we? In Ilfracombe, a place called Tunnels Beaches, and it's like a little private cove. But to get to the private beach, you have to walk through these Victorian tunnels.
When a papa's, you need a yacht.
Yeah. And then on the other, in the cliff, there's a purpose-built like venue that's got like 3 floors and opens all out to the beaches and stuff like that. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And was that affected by COVID at all, or was it all?
Yeah.
So, right.
Supposed to be September, but got moved.
Well, Paul was asking them nicely if we could move it, and they kept saying, "No, we reckon it's going to be all right," you know. And I was like, "Right, I'm going to have to ring them now."
She couldn't get a dress or anything. She couldn't
because it was just.
Oh, it's just been such a
nightmare,
hasn't it? In terms of planning for anything.
So I had to ring them and bring out the big guns, and then they went okay,
Oh, well, do you know what? I'm thrilled for you both, because I mean, you do come across as two people who are just made for each other.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're both successful and the fact that you're both comfortable with that, it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, we get a lot of people message us and go, I just like, so you consider chemistry, but we have broke up a lot of people.
I know, it's bad, isn't it?
And by the sense of, people will message us. Honestly, we've had so many going, do you know what? It's so lovely to see, you and Paul together and how amazing you are. That it made me realise that my 16-year marriage is shit. So I've broke up with him.
That's a genuine message left them.
Swear to God, so many messages like that. And I'm like, I don't know whether to congratulate them or feel responsible. I don't know. It's weird. I suppose it's
one
a
of
good
us
thing.
is getting assassinated by an angry ex-husband.
Yeah.
Could be one of your pay pigs.
Yeah, maybe.
I ask every one of my guests at the end, and I'm sorry we've got to end it, but I always ask everyone what success means to them. So I'll ask you both. What does success mean to you both?
I think success is just, it can't be monetary. Money is good. It will create a level of comfort, but like, it's not going to be able to buy the real important things. And so success really is just about being comfortable with yourself and finding someone who's comfortable with you.
And
I think
it's contentment in, and being grateful as well. Like, I think success can be as big or as small as you like, really.
Yeah.
But it's being grateful for all the little things that you have rather than all the big things as well. And I think when you're grateful, then it's like a domino effect. And then, the more grateful you are, the more things come into your life that are deemed as your success or good for you,
Well, I agree with that. Totally. I mean, on the monetary point, the way I always think about it is you've got to have a platform of fulfillment as a human being. And if you've got that and you can get money, the money's great.
Yeah.
If you get the money without that platform,
No.
it doesn't do
what's the
anything
point?
for you. It's hollow.
Yeah.
It's like, you think you want it, and the world teaches you that's what you want, and you want things, and you want, and I'm still a sucker for like a gadget or I'll see a car and go, ooh, but then now I know it's not gonna get me happiness. It's not what it's not what I need to be happy.
I agree. And
Because what me and Paul have, for an example, people search their whole lifetimes for just a snippet of what me and Paul have, like, without money, like take everything away. And like, so that's where like I'm quite a grateful person. I always think about that all the time. I always think people search forever to have that. So success, that's my success. Do you know what I mean? So,
and think about what could or couldn't have happened if good old Simon
I know.
had sent that video,
I know.
Paul.
Sorry,
we always
Simon.
say, sorry, Simon.
Do you know what though?
It's like an ongoing joke. We're going to have a T-shirt made with it.
I keep sending my missus videos of Virgil van Dijk, so I'm just a bit worried about if Virgil's kind of knocking round.
Not gonna lie, if your missus comes home and goes, I slept with Virgil van Dijk, you'd have to go.
Say, fair play.
Pat Virgil on the back.
Yeah.
I won't get in the way of this.
Oh, I've got to finish with some thank yous. It's been so lovely to meet you, Laurie. It really
and
has.
you. Thanks for letting me on.
Oh, it's no
I was only
problem
coming
at
along
all.
as a tag along.
No, I'm
Get
delighted
involved,
to.
mate. I told you.
I'm so happy to have you both. I love your podcast. But Paul, I want to say as well, thank you too as well, mate. It's been
Thank you,
such
mate.
a
Thanks for having
pleasure
me. Dead
catching
good to
up.
see you again after so long.
Absolutely. And you know what? I've said this before. The thing which gives me most pleasure is that you deserve your success. You deserve what you've got.
Thank you.
And the fact you've come in to see us when you're on the cusp of this tour, it says everything that anyone needs to know about you.
Thank you.
So Paul Smith, Laurie Callow, it's been such a pleasure. Good luck.
thank you.
And we
Thank
better
you.
give him a big
Good luck
clap
with
for
the
the go.
Yay.
So Paul and Laurie, amazing, absolute power couple. I love them.
I know. The only thing I'm a bit worried about is that I think I was calling Laurie at a number of occasions, and
Yeah, same.
bearing in mind the way she treated this poor fellow who had his hand died, I'm just getting a bit worried about what might happen.
We should just call her Loz from now on. She said it's just easier, isn't it? Oh no, do you know what? Absolute brilliant couple. Them two, lovely aura from the pair of them, lovely energy. Really enjoyed that actually. Yeah.
I did, and you know, it's. I mean, I gigged a lot with Paul back in the day, and he was a very gifted performer and writer then. But do you know what? When you see someone who's been successful, who has done the hard work,
Yeah.
and who has also retained humility and good and just being a good human being.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that. And to see how well Paul's done, to see the amazing career he's got in the future, and then to meet Laurie, who is not only successful in her own right, but the pair of them make a wonderful couple. And the fact they both enjoyed it as well just was beautiful for me.
They absolutely bounce off each other, and do you know what? I think, like, you know, she's a boss lady, clearly, isn't she? I want to get my eyebrows done by her. I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly it's. I mean, that has really cropped up, hasn't it? What do you call it? This
Microblading.
Microblading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we get you some?
Well, I don't think I would really suit them, to be honest with you. But you know, we try and do things a bit different on the podcast. But
Yeah. No, do you know what? I can't wait for that episode to release. I think it's definitely an extra special one.
It totally is. It was very special.
I've just got one question on it though.
Go on.
When are we trying the DMT?
Can I just point out at this point, we do not condone it.
We do not.
Oh, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did and Stacey did. So that was Paul Smith and Laurie Callow. Back again every Wednesday with Success Won't Come Calling. That's it for me and Stacey. If you are someone who wants to be better tomorrow than you were today, this is the podcast for you.